you all here. So beautiful to be together. ये राजेश्वर दास का भी बुलाना है ना दूसरों के. So we begin as always with a question that's come from our online internet-based audience, and then we'll open it up to any questions that anyone here has. My boyfriend cheated on me. Is this because of my own karma in the past? Or did he make a new karma that he will be punished for? And this is asked by, I hope I'm pronouncing this right, Oyevidhi on Instagram. The law of karma is not about individual karmic threads. It's about karmic threads weaving together into a karmic tapestry. So did it happen because of something I did in the past? Yes. But it's not a punishment. And this is really the big key misunderstanding around karma. You know, a lot of us, especially from the West, we have such a kind of Santa Claus view of karma. You know, that idea that he knows if you've been good or bad, and there's kind of a list of the good things you did and a list of the bad things you did. And if you did a lot of good things, then you got presents, and you did bad things, you didn't get presents. We've got kind of that view of karma. And karma just doesn't work like that. So first of all, that which is happening today, yes, it's an outcome of that which happened in the past. No, you're not being punished. No, you're not being rewarded. It is simply an outcome. The universe, the divine universe, does not actually have attachment to whether your boyfriend cheats on you or not. It's not that you've been bad, so you're being punished, and the universe has given you this objectively bad thing because you've done something bad. Not like that. There is no sense of objective good or bad in that perspective. These are all subjective labels that we've put on things. Success is good, failure is bad. Wealth is good, poverty is bad. Big house, good. Small little hut, bad. Right? Lots of cars, good. Bus, bad. We've put these labels on things. But the universe doesn't have labels like that. So, yes, that which is happening now is an outcome of that which happened in the past. That which you did in the past it's like the snowball that becomes the avalanche. As it travels, it picks up more and more snow. It began in this direction because of something called the law of gravity. Somehow it got dropped, the glacier moved, an animal kicked it, whatever it was, something put it in motion. And then along the way, more and more karma means action happened. And it got bigger and bigger. So yes, something that you did, something in your past, or a collection of things from your past, the interaction of innumerable karmic threads from your past, has brought you to the situation today where your boyfriend has cheated on you. Again, not that it's bad, not that you're being punished. It may be very good. Maybe he wasn't the right person. Maybe if he didn't cheat on you, you would have married him and found yourself really stuck. And so the fact that he cheated on you was a blessing because it enabled you to see his real colors before you dedicated your entire life to him and realized that he couldn't be trusted, that he wasn't loyal. So yes, it was an outcome of, but no, it's not a punishment. And then the other option that she gave is, or has he created a new karma that he's going to be punished for? Yeah, that also. Meaning, he did what he did also as an outcome of his past. People who are honest people, people who are loyal people, tend not to suddenly, out of the blue, do something completely disloyal and dishonest. It's not that it never happens. Every once in a while, we or someone else does something completely out of character. But it's quite rare. In general, honest people are honest. Loyal people are loyal. Dishonest people are dishonest. We tend to live according to our characteristics. His past karmic experience has created a situation where he's dishonest, maybe for the first time, maybe in a habit of dishonesty, in which he got swept up in lust, in passion, in ego, in drama, whatever it may have been. Is he going to be punished for it? No. Again, because the universe isn't about rewards and punishments. Will there be karmic repercussions? Absolutely. Absolutely. The action of cheating on you is a seed that will bear fruit in his life. Absolutely. But lastly, here's the beautiful part about that. His disloyalty, his cheating, his harm of you, even if it was for your best interest, still it was harm. It was violence, what we call hinsa. There will be consequences. But the good news is, the universe doesn't require you to hold a grudge so that he gets his karmic due. A lot of us think that we have to do that. Someone harms us, and we have to stay angry and hold a grudge and kind of not let go, as though we are the safe keepers of that piece of knowledge for the universe. And that if we let go, if we move on, somehow it's going to disappear into oblivion. But it doesn't. He has set a karmic snowball, if you will, in motion. You don't need to hold on to it. You don't need to stay in pain. That law of karma is perfect. He's going to get his karmic due. And your job now is to move on in your new freedom. To not let your future stay stuck with his mistake of the past. Beautiful. Questions here? Yes, come, there's a microphone right here.
फ्यूचर खराब हो गया है। अच्छा। 2 दिन से स्वामी जी का अंदर चल रहा था। जूम मीटिंग तो उसमें लगा हुआ था क्या मतलब।
अभी लेके आइए, करवा दीजिए, होना चाहिए, पहले से होना चाहिए।
Ma'am, I have 2 questions. The first question is that many educated people become
devoted towards like spirituality. They just left their jobs, they left their family, and they become Baba, yogi or yogini. So they don't have social responsibility, I have taught. The second question is that is arranged marriage is a good tradition in Hindu religion or not?
Okay. Let's take the second question first, since it got the most reaction from everyone. Is arranged marriage good or not? It's like saying, is spicy food good or not? I mean, it's obviously got more consequence, but the point being, it really depends on the situation. In theory, the theory of arranged marriage is good. The premise of arranged marriage is the idea, which is very true, which is that when we fall in love, especially at the time of life when most people are falling in love and getting married in their, late teens, early 20s, we're so young, right? We're so young. We feel really old. But in the scheme of things, we're really so young. There's so much left we have to learn about ourselves, about life. I mean, even when we die, there's still so much more we have to learn about ourselves and life, that in the very beginning. So the idea that somehow at 18 or 22 or 26, I'm going to know exactly who the right person is going to be for me throughout my life, it's a fallacy. So what happens a lot of times is we fall in love and then we fall out of love. It's why the divorce rate in places like America is about 60-65%. It's not that there's something wrong with the people, it's that the idea that because I love you in this moment means that I'm going to feel the same way 20 years down the line, it's a fallacy. So the premise of arranged marriage is actually really good, because what it says is marriage is a challenge anyway. Relationships are a challenge. Even when you have everything going for you, it's still a challenge. So why not give yourself the very best possibility of making it work? Minimize from the beginning the number of things that you're likely to fight about. Make sure that you are the same religion, that you're raised from the same culture, that at least you get kind of all of the big picture stuff out of the way. So you're not going to fight over what religion to raise your kids in. You're not going to fight over what food to serve in the house. You're not going to fight over the values and the ethics and the morals, and one drinks, one doesn't. One's vegetarian, one doesn't. One likes to go out to, parties and get drunk. One wants to stay home and meditate. Like, you remove the big picture issues. If you have this arranged marriage where they are bringing people together from, ideally, very similar backgrounds, cultures, families, lifestyles, education systems, the premise simply says you're still going to struggle because you're human. But at least give yourself the best chance. At least you're not going to struggle about religion or diet or this or that. So in premise, it's a very, very good idea. I know uncountable couples who have been married for decades and decades and decades, very, very happily. In some cases, who never met even before the wedding, or who only met a few times. However, arranged marriage is like any marriage. but especially arranged marriages, because you don't have that passion of love to kind of get you through the initial humps. It requires a level of what we would call San Shakti. The ability to tolerate, to withstand, to accept difficulty and challenge. To really be able to withstand conflict or, whatever it may be. The initial stages, imagine having to suddenly be with someone who you don't even know, and it's not just one person, it's the whole family. The dilemma with arranged marriages, and then we'll come to love marriages. The dilemma with arranged marriages is that because we assume that they work a lot of the time, we have the assumption that they should work all the time. And therefore, if there's an arranged marriage and it's clear that it's not working, the problem is that there's still so much of a taboo around simply accepting, okay, we made a mistake. I mean, your parents are obviously in your best interest, doing the best they can, trying their hardest, but it doesn't mean that they don't make mistakes. They thought this person would be the best, but sometimes you never know. And the dilemma with arranged marriages is that a lot of times we're really not just hesitant, but really loath to admit that it was a mistake. And so you do end up sometimes with people literally who spend their entire lives married to somebody who was most definitely the wrong person for them. But because of the cultural taboos, they're stuck with someone who's awfully wrong, and they're prevented from then finding love with someone who's right. So, again, it's fantastic in theory, it's fantastic when it works, but I do think that we need to open ourselves to the possibility that there are times when it doesn't work. And just because it's arranged doesn't mean that it's infallible. On the other hand, the love marriages, it's beautiful, it's wonderful, you've fallen in love, there's passion, there's this I can't live without you-ness. The energy, the release of all of the feel-good hormones are enough to get you over a lot of the initial hurdles. The brain is literally on drugs. Feel-good drugs of being in love. And it's great. You feel great. All troubles seem completely conquerable. The dilemma is if you don't have that same San Shakti, that ability to tolerate, to withstand difficulties. The minute that those fireworks kind of stop, the minute that the feel-good chemicals dissipate, they don't have a very long half-life. And the minute that they dissipate, you're left with very real, very human challenges. And especially if it's someone of a different religion, a different culture, a different way of life, a different background. Of course, love can conquer all. But what it means is that you've got to use all of your energy to keep that fire of love lit. You can't just assume that because it was lit in the beginning, it's going to stay lit. This is why I always say relationships are a yoga. It is a practice. It is a constant practice. Any good yoga teacher will tell you, there's a lot of styles of yoga. Some of the yoga is much more about flow, and you're just in each asana for a very brief period of time. But a lot of styles of yoga are really focused on kind of holding asanas for a while, developing the strength, developing the balance, developing the ability to really hold that. Not in perspiration, but in balance and alignment. And yeah, you may also perspire, but the point is a strength in mind, in breath, in body, in balance. But I mention it because if you've ever practiced that type of yoga, what you'll know is, in order to hold any asana nicely for more than 30 seconds, you're constantly readjusting. You get into it. But if you're going to hold it, and you're going to hold it well, you are constantly readjusting. You're able to go a little deeper. You're able to stretch a little bit more. You need to push a little bit more here. You notice that you've let go over here. You push more here. You notice you've let go over here. It's a constant readjustment, as is marriage. You've got to be prepared to keep working it. You put all your attention over here, you're going to let something go over here. And you better come back and take care of it, or it's going to bite you in the rear end. So you come and you fix it over here. And then you notice that you've let go of it over here, and you come back and you take care of it here. So either way, regardless of where you start out, you're going to need that yoga. And again, regardless of where you start out, mistakes can happen. And I'm not of the personal belief that we should be subjected for our entire lives to a mistake that we or our parents or someone who had our best interest at heart but didn't necessarily make the best decision made in our teens or 20s. But you've got to use as much energy and time and capacity and resources as you can to try to make it work. Otherwise, people end up, switching marriage partners like they switch toothpaste brands. Oh, I don't like this one anymore. I want a different one. Oh, I'm going to try this one, forget that one. And then you don't get the benefit of the marriage, the relationship, or the yoga. Great. Yeah. Other questions? Yes.
Namaste. Thank you for sharing satsang with us. Just give me a few minutes to try and formulate the question. So in London, we did an event called Conscious Changemaker. And we did that because we were looking at the macro and the micro, the divine and us in personal responsibility. And we looked at Arjuna saying he wants to go to the forest. And we looked at Mahatma Gandhi saying, my life is my message. And so as my spiritual practice has moved on, it's become more dynamic. And we're leaving Rishikesh tonight or tomorrow. And very often people that are practicing spirituality, it's like in the eyes closed experience, or it's on the yoga mat, or it's in a divine place. And then it kind of gets left off. People want world peace, but they fight in the Facebook comments, People want change. That all this kind of stuff happens. So what I want to ask you is that when I've come to Parmarth Niketan, I've seen that you as a sannyas, you're there, you're in the meditation and yoga, but it's a very dynamic place. You've got many programs happening. You're planting trees, you're doing that. So there's a lot of dynamism there. Could you share some experience about you personally being a conscious change maker, and also how we can be inspired to be a conscious change maker out of the eyes closed experience, off of the mat, and outside of Rishikesh in our own lives?
Beautiful, beautiful question. So, if you want to be a change maker, especially if you want that change to be from darkness to light, from what we would call a bad situation to a better situation, negative to positive, you have to be conscious. You can't bring about positive change if you're not conscious. And if you're really conscious, you can't help but be a change maker. Real consciousness does not enable us to live in a box. If I am content to live in just a box, to be only on my cushion, only on my mat, I am not really conscious. There may have been times in history in which there was a very important role for those seers and saints and rishis and mystics, and not just there may have been, there most definitely was a time in history in which the place for many, if not most, of the conscious beings, the meditators, the yoga doers, was in caves, on mountaintops, meditating. But that was a different yuga. Different era, different rules, different situation. Right now, in Kali Yuga, this era that we're in right now, literally an era of darkness. You know, the official name is Kali Yuga, but you could also call it the era of all hands on deck. We need all hands on deck. It's not an era to sit this one out. Now, if there's a balance though, because the dilemma becomes, if I don't recharge, if I don't find what Pujya Swamiji calls the noiselessness amidst the noise, or the peace in the chaos, then I just become noise and chaos. And then I'm not actually an efficient or effective change maker. Then I'm just yet another person screaming and yelling in the noise and the chaos. You know, then it becomes the whack-a-mole situation, right? That arcade game where, you know, when I was a kid, you'd go to the arcade and there was this game where there were, I don't know, maybe 10, 12 little holes, and you'd put in a quarter and you got a hammer with some fuzzy fur on the end of it. And out of one hole, a little furry mole character would pop up and you had to whack it down. And then out of another hole, one would come up and you had to whack it down. But as you whacked them down, they got faster and faster and faster until you found yourself literally going, you know, until you missed enough of them that your quarter was over and you had to put in more money. If we don't develop an inner practice, even if we are good people, compassionate people, loving people, kind people, people wanting to bring peace and change, we end up moving through our world like you're playing the whack-a-mole game. We don't actually achieve anything, and we get incredibly tired, incredibly frustrated. And so we need our time on the mat, on the cushion, inside ourselves, in nature. Whatever it is that really rejuvenates us. To find that inner spring of not just energy, but wisdom and direction. To actually know how to act, what to do. And I know for me, I mean, this has been Pujya Swamiji's teachings from the very beginning. It's all about service. Not because we are the doers, not because we are the change makers and others are the recipients of our service, But because that service is not only a critical aspect of our spiritual practice, but is the most natural outcome of a spiritual practice. If your meditation is real, and you are experiencing oneness and connection on the cushion, and you stand up, you are going to become an instrument of service in the world. You can't help it. But we have to keep focusing on being conscious, because otherwise, even as you're bringing change, the ego comes in, illusion comes in, and it becomes, oh, I'm the best change maker. Like, did you see what I did? Those people aren't really doing anything. We're doing so much more than they are. And then you lose it. So you have to stay conscious and clear and aware. And to recognize it's not you. It's just that it's the divine flowing through you, and you're just being given an opportunity to be an instrument. I mean, does an apple tree that gives apples to hungry kids put up a sign that says, "I feed the hungry"? Oxfam Humanitarian Award recipient? No, it's just doing its dharma. It's an apple tree. It gives apples. It's not looking for an award. And so the teaching is that we serve like that. Just because it's our dharma to do that. It's our nature to do that. Not because it's about what we're going to get in return. Beautiful, thank you. Yeah, other questions? Yes.
Namaste.
Namaste.
अभी जिस हम समय में रह रहे हैं उस समय काफ़ी सारी उलझने हैं.
दोबारा शुरू कर दीजिएगा, थोड़ा सा ऊपर कर दीजिएगा
Yeah.
माइक ताकि सुन लेंगे.
In this era we are living, there are so much opportunities and so much to learn, so much to do, and there are so much conflicts as well in the mind. As you said, like to find your inner spring or to find your inner self, like seva, you said. So what is seva? Like, because I see that little ego comes, and even if you try to like put it back, that's also become ego. And so what is seva? And it's not just like just you mop it and you are doing seva. What is like, how can I live better?
Beautiful, beautiful. So seva, for those of you not familiar with the term, is the Hindi Sanskrit word that is translated typically as selfless service. It's not a perfect definition, but it's kind of as close as we can get in English. But it's not volunteer work. Volunteer work is a beautiful thing to do, but volunteer work is something that we do with a clear idea that there are poor people or there are needy people. I am someone who has been given so much. Therefore, I am going to use a little bit of my time, a few hours a month, a few hours a week, whatever it might be, and I'm going to volunteer my time at a soup kitchen, at a battered women's shelter, at an orphanage, planting trees, stuffing envelopes to raise money for an organization, whatever it might be. Good thing to do. It's a great thing to do. Everyone should do volunteer work. seva, the distinction is, seva is actually a spiritual practice. So on the outside, it looks very similar. We're doing the same things. But seva is actually done as a way of purifying our mind and our intellect to remove the borders and the boundaries between us and them. Seva is that which shows us, I'm not separate. There isn't a me who has feeding you who don't. In seva, the people who receive from us, either directly or indirectly, are giving us a beautiful blessing by giving us the opportunity to serve. And in seva, we're really clear that all of us are here simply playing our roles on this stage, and that in this particular incarnation, we are playing the role of the ones doing the feeding, and they're playing the role of the ones receiving the food, but that ultimately we are one, and that through them receiving the food, we are being given the opportunity of seeing ourselves in them as we feed them. Not to walk away with a sense of like, oh yeah, God, I'm so great, I just fed a few hundred kids. But wow, what a beautiful opportunity to see myself in those children. So we use seva to purify our intellect, to purify our mind. And it's why, as you speak about sweeping the floor, frequently, in a lot of places, traditionally, seva is kind of the most mundane, manual type of stuff. It's sweeping the floors, it's cleaning toilets, it's scrubbing dishes, it's cutting up vegetables. Because it's really hard to think very highly on yourself when you're scrubbing the inside of other people's toilets. There's sort of a self-denigration that comes with, cleaning someone else's poop that traditionally has been seen as a valuable way of cutting through ego and illusion. Our way here, and many other organizations' ways now, is much more around actually giving people who need the money the opportunity to do things like clean bathrooms, wash dishes, cut vegetables, sweep the floors, people without any other skills. And people who, if they didn't have that job, wouldn't have any money at all. And allowing others to actually use whatever skills we've been given, in whatever ways we've been given, to be instruments in the hands of the divine. But the intention is exactly the same. So whether I'm scrubbing poop out of a toilet, washing dishes, designing a website, stuffing envelopes to raise money, going door to door to raise money, taking pictures, taking videos, writing books, whatever we may be doing. Organizational levels, handling accounts, doing data entry. All of the different types of jobs that people do. The intention is all exactly the same. It's about purify my mind, purify my thoughts, purify my ego. I am just an instrument in the hands of the divine, and the whole point of this exercise is for me to let go of all of the attachment, expectation, identity, ego that makes me suffer and that keeps me stuck and that sees myself as separate. The idea that somehow, well, I am of these skills and therefore this job is worthy of me, is the type of thing that seva removes. Because it just keeps purifying, There's, a beautiful story of a very traditional story of a disciple who goes to the guru and wants high-level spiritual instructions for enlightenment. And the guru tells him, take these 10 cows, and when they become 100 cows, come back to me and I'll teach you something. And by the time the 10 cows have become 100 cows, the man has spent all of those years just tending to the cows. He's already reached that state. He comes and he bows at the guru's feet. Lesson learned. So, it's all about a purification of the self. My favorite way of thinking about seva is if I'm walking down the street and I trip and I fall and I hurt my left leg, my right leg will pick up the extra weight, right? If I twist my ankle or hurt my knee, what happens? I start limping. Well, what does limping mean? Limping means my other leg is picking up the extra weight, so this leg doesn't have to carry weight. Now, if a week later I hurt my left leg again, and then a week later I hurt my left leg again, the right leg never says, you know what, enough. Forget it, I'm done. Tell the left leg to pick up its own weight. It keeps doing it because it knows intuitively the left leg is self. And you never have to say to it, hey, great humanitarian right leg, would you mind doing me a really big favor? It just does it automatically. It understands the left leg is self. It's not looking for your gratitude. It's not looking for a reward or appreciation. That you're going to get a whole bunch of gold stickers and, stick them all over your right leg for your gold star humanitarian leg. It just does it itself. And if a week later, after I've hurt my left leg, if a week later I develop a stomach ache, and a week later a headache, then maybe something else, the body doesn't say, you know what, enough, quota, done. We could do the leg, we could do the stomach ache, we could do the headache, but now, the sore throat, come back next year. 2024, quota, over. Never says it. It just keeps responding. Because it understands it's all self. And that is how we do seva. Not because then at the end of the day I say, wow, look at what a great sevak I am. Because you're right, ego comes in. Absolutely it comes in. And this is why we keep meditating, we keep praying, we keep offering it. Keep offering it. There's a beautiful line in the Gita where Bhagavan Krishna says, Yat karoshi yadashnasi, yajchahoshi dadasiyat, yat tapasya se konteya, tat kurushva madarpanam. And it means whatever you do, even all the good stuff, your sadhana, your tapas, your yagna, all of that you do, offer it to me. You're not even the doer of that. Offer it to me. There's so many beautiful mantras, we don't have time to go into them all right now, but that remind us how at the end of the day, just offer offer it all to the divine. Kayena vacha, manasendriya va. Just all of that has happened through me, I offer it to you. So whenever ego comes in, we offer it, we offer it, we offer it. And this is why, along with that seva, along with the karma yoga, you also need the jnana yoga. And you need the bhakti yoga, because it helps you remember, oh yeah, I'm not actually the doer. So this is where you have that beautiful triveni, that confluence of all of the different streams. Beautiful. Have a beautiful, beautiful rest of your evening. A beautiful morning and day to our family joining us from all over the world. And just a reminder again that we have here every day at Parmarth beautiful yoga programs, meditation programs, a sacred morning fire ceremony, of course the evening Ganga Aarti, and everything is open to everyone, whether you're staying in the ashram or not staying in the ashram. There's no charge for any of it, it's all open to everyone. There's a schedule in the reception area through here of all of the daily offerings, so please feel free to take advantage of all of the different ways throughout the day to learn and to connect and to grow and expand. And I look so forward to seeing you here tomorrow evening. So much love to you all.